Morning, everyone. So this is my post-game talk. Had my game last night. If you want to watch my video on my pre-game, where I talk about what I thought of the matchup beforehand, you can see that. This one, I did not take screenshots. I should. If I fish, I'm going to make these videos. So this one, hopefully, if I do these for the rest of the tournament, I remember to take some screenshots, even if it's just a deployment and maybe a key turn screenshot, so I can actually talk about it. Um, as opposed to now where it's like I'm talking, you know, after the fact, and I don't know. It's less to say. Anyway, it was a good game. It was fun. Um, I did win 18-2 in the end, getting him the objective and killing everything but the steam tank, and then I actually lost a good bit of stuff too. Key moments. So I did get topside, which I actually think picking sides in this particular map and scenario is actually really good. I would have much preferred to pick the sides for sure and be the bottom side. I think that hill in hold the ground is too good. I'm gonna do like a rough of what my deployment was. I don't remember exactly. I think it was something like this. These were somewhere like here. So I wasn't the happiest with my deployment after the fact. Obviously, there's a lot of things you can improve in hindsight. I imagine these are facing down. It was something like this. That's how I deployed. Um, I think these two units when they're next to each other are just too blocky and they get in each other's way. And I think the Feldrax could have threatened the middle more with a little more speed, something here maybe. But not having the hill is actually quite fucking annoying. Probably the big moments would be I did kill a wagon turn one with my Herald with Grave Calls. It just happened to be in range, and I went for it. I was a little greedy the first two turns, and he was sniping my Portent Lord, and I just should have like it. Once it was four dice, he did it, and I'm like, okay, what can I only do? What can I do in four dice? Sometimes it's four versus four, and the first turn he two diced it, so it was four dice versus five dice. He bound spelled ice and fired the warriors, and I stopped it on two dice, thinking I have three versus two, and then he got it off, which isn't shocking with plus one to cast and everything. But I just should have I probably should have kept four dice and one dice to bounce spell because it's 50-50 chance, and four versus two dice is pretty good odds. And honestly, ice and fire kills like a warrior or two, and it's like whatever, right? Kill the warrior or two, and don't put a wound on my lord, which is way more important. Um, I really wish I had a picture of so one thing I didn't like that I did turn one is I put these guys in front of his demigryphs. I'll just use this unit. He had like four demigryphs here. Well, let's just make a new unit and make it actually four. Um, right. So he had four here, and the stank was next to it, and I went like this, and he was in the flank, and he had to he had to charge like this, and he reformed like this, and then my warrior block was like here. I guess he could hit down here because I was 12 inches away when it happened. So I guess what the point that I'm trying to make is, I when a unit is this wide, you can redirect it like because I came from down here and over. You can redirect it like a lot of ways. Like being here, because he had a steam tank here. I didn't really stop this. There's nothing that was going to happen over here. Nothing was in range. If I would have just went like here-ish or something to like, I needed to block him and have a closer charge with um, my war unit. My war unit only had an 8. Now, to be fair, I had an 8 to charge him and overrun into the dragon. Um, so there was a lot of upside to that. But I felt like this just wasn't smart, and maybe I didn't need it at all. Maybe it was a turn too early because it's like whatever. If he charges me here, I should win. I think I win this fight. Port Lord versus Demigryphs. he might get some wounds off. He has, I got to stop the perception of strength. There's no guarantee by any means. But with parry and 3-up saves and toughness 4, as long as he doesn't get +1 strength off, and I might have to binding scroll turn 1, but it's not a free unit, so it's almost like a free unit in a way. That didn't happen. I redirected it, and it just didn't get anything for it. I didn't like it. I should have redirected so at least force him to overrun into my unit or something like that. I believe I redirected him so that my Herald could land here and cast some nice spells. But even then, I could redirect it like this because he could never touch my Herald that way, right? Anyways, besides the point, probably one of the pivotal, interesting moments was it was something like this. So he killed my dogs turn 2 and overran into this unit. Okay, something like this. And I'm making some of this up. I don't remember everything. I had a Elder here for sure that could charge if I need to. And the Feldrax were right in the flank. Right. This guy was down here. And the reason I want to explain this is because this is an after the fact type moment where I was like, what should I have done? It was something like this. And let's just say for shits, well, this was here. And this was not here. Dogs were dead. I'm trying to create a moment because I wanna explain a thought process, and I want to be clear that this is not exactly the scale. I don't have the picture in my head. It's more about the idea. So let's do this. And he had a big unit. So it was something like this, right? And he had, you just got to imagine that some of these models are his. He had a demi unit here. And let me just make that unit real quick, just to get the full kind of picture of what we're imagining. He had a tank, I guess. Steam tank was chilling here. So you have to be watching to follow what's going on. Otherwise, if you look at the picture without it, you're not going to have any fucking clue, because I'm not using Empire models. So it was something like this, right? And there's a mage in this unit, which is a big deal. So I had just broken a knight unit, and I'm here sitting with my mage. This is a BSB's unit. So I'll tell you what I ended up doing and kind of why, and then what I wish I did. And my mage was, I guess, it was something like this. I guess my mage was here. Let's just assume it was this, right? These are switched. Something like this. So what I ended up doing was charging my... Oh, jeez, come on. Lag. Charging this at the mage's unit. He fled off the board. I think he should have held. And then I failed the redirect, so I landed here. These charged a flank of the demigriffs. Oh, my lord had 2 wounds on him at this point. And the demigriffs were strength 6, so... He had a good shot to go after my lord, to be fair. Alright. I flanked him with this unit, and I front charged him with the lust guys, like this. So I ended up like this, per se. And I couldn't overrun the dragon. So that's how I ended up. And I guess now... I'll turn this off. Right? So I killed this. I took another wound on my lord. And then I kind of fiddled around. I think these became 3 wide, but stayed in the center. And then this kind of turned. And then this kind of turned like this or something. And this was like a 3x3 at this point because I'd lost 1 model. But it was still in the center. And what ended up happening was I was charged by the dragon and by this unit. And then stuff over here happened, but let's not worry about that. And then this unit broke, and then this overran into this, and then the Herald had moved up here, and he countercharged, and the steam tank was sitting in front of my Feldrax. Just some shit happened, right? But let's just go back to this situation. And so I went in with this unit. I went in with this unit because I wanted to get into this scenario. And then I wanted to have 3 units in the scenario, at least to make him do something to get out of it. Now, I ended up winning the scenario because I had 2 units still alive, and he only had the 1. So I was thinking about this, and this was a little farther back. What could I have done better? What would I maybe have? What were some smarter moves potentially? So starting down here, and like I said, it's not to scale, so you got to just bear with me. So the mage is sitting in this unit, and it's super juicy to charge the mage. These were more like this, right? But super juicy to charge the mage. And the reason he should have held is because if I would have made the redirect and charged here, there's no way this unit is getting out of my Forsworn in 1 turn. He's a bunch of strength 4 attacks. I had maybe a wound or 2 on me, so I had at least 7 4 up, 2 up save wounds, and I have damnation. So I'm most likely just going to turn in the spawns at the very least and hold him for his turn. And he had a wagon down here, but that doesn't matter. So if I made the redirect, it would have all been great. But I guess, to me, maybe I just should have charged here to begin with and hold up this unit. Because one of the fears was, I was thinking, oh, if I charge the Elder here, maybe I overrun into the flank of the dragon. The dragon was actually facing more like this, I think. It's something like this. Maybe I charge into the flank of the dragon, but then I was like, oh, even if I hit here, this unit could still see me. This would have been a little far, right? And Dragon had a wound on it, and, an Elder flanking it is still pretty fucking good, at least for holding it up. And then this couldn't countercharge. And even if I didn't do this, right? If I just would have done this, then when I kill the demis, it's just the dragon sitting here. And I even stop him from scoring because he's not going to get the mage's unit over here. Nor is this unit going to make it. So I just only need the 1 scoring. So it's very useless to put in the lust unit, which just bottled me up, right? The second thing was I had 2 wounds on my lord, and he was strength 6 on his thing. He had a spell off. So I'm at risk for getting attacked. He's touching me with 2 guys. When I put these guys in, because of the rules for removing models, when my lord killed 3 before he got the strike, he had to keep this one in because it touched all 3 units, which meant he could attack my lord. He did 2 wounds, and luckily I made one of my 5 upper rollables. In hindsight, I think a better move would have been to fuck the mage. It's hard to say fuck the mage because the mage, like, you're playing a game of like, can I do something really big right now, or do I take the safe play and try to kill the mage? The problem is this unit's just a fucking issue. So as weird as it sounds, maybe, and I don't know 100%, maybe the play was, okay, hit here, block it up, boom, right? Charge this Elder here. However I need to go to overrun into the dragon. Hopefully make it, right? So what this does is 2 things. 1, I get a potential overrun into the dragon. 2, even if I don't get the overrun into the dragon, this unit's locked up, so he can't charge my greed unit and kill my gluttony unit and kill it. Keeps these guys kind of unbottled from each other. They were kind of close. But also, yeah, this couldn't have fit through. I know that as much. But also, another little thing would be, because of the way removing models works, he was like this. This is the last model to be removed. So when my lord would attack first, as long as I killed 2, he wouldn't be allowed to attack my lord, and I would probably have an extra wound. So that was something that would have been nice as well. So then, let's say I do the same damage I did before. He has to take this out. Maybe he does a wound to my thing, and then this is gone, and then now this can overrun here, and all of a sudden, if I pin him, my poor lord is looking right at him for the next turn. Or looking at the steam tank, potentially. I'm just looking here, and I'm safer for a turn, right? I got rid of a demi unit, and I'm kind of chilling. This is also kind of contingent on the fact I should have stopped the damn snipe spells turn 1 at least. So I should only have one. I should quote unquote only have 1 wound on me, but I have 2. Um, and then I can do a similar thing to what I did before, which is kind of set up myself. Yeah, I needed like this unit over here, or this lust unit like here to kind of sit here. Probably would have been better to have the lust unit here because it can flee from everything, from the hill charges. But yeah, that was a big moment. I got the mage, and sure, I failed the redirect. I ended up being here. This flanked me. This ended up being like here, I guess. It was like this. It's not perfect, guys. It was like this. This flanked me. It's here. This flanked me. I had this elder ended up being here. It was in such a way that, like, because this would hit this on a front charge, it couldn't flank. A spawn survived. Then it got flanked by an elder. They broke, and I ended up chasing them and killing them. This died. The dragon. Oh yeah, the dragon charged with this knights off the hill and broke my unit. One thing I could have done way better was, so I did some, I was fidgeting with this positioning here, and there was this unit like in 3x3 formation, whatever. So his dragon came in and could go. It had enough room, however it was like this, to clip here. It had room. I just don't remember how it worked out. It had room to hit here and maximize if it needed to, like this, essentially. Had room to go there, I believe. He ended up going this side, right? And then he broke me by stomping and stuff like that. So maybe what I should have did was, I don't know if it was possible because of this unit being here. And honestly, this unit should have never been there. It just caused a bunch of pain in the ass to me. Maybe, and this unit that flanked really didn't help because it didn't go before the demis. I didn't care. Like, my lord was going to crush the demis, most likely. Right? He's going to kill 2 or 3 himself. So what I really needed was to kill things before they struck so they couldn't fight my lord. And putting these guys in the flank did not help that at all because they don't fight before the demis. So it was almost futile to put this unit in, and it just caused a fucking mess. But maybe there's an opportunity to do something like this. All I have to do is block a sliver. Just a sliver of my unit. Because otherwise, if he charges... So now if he charges both in... I don't know where everything was, but... If he charges both in, he has to hit the dragon here. Right? He has to hit it here, and then he has to clip with this unit. Right? So he has to do it that way because he can't fit the other way. So as long as I cover this corner in some small capacity... If he puts this unit here, the dragon can't clip here. So I can force it to be a double charge like that. And then depending on, where the models are, like if I'm in this situation, I can force him either one of 2 ways. I can force him to hit my lord, or I can force him to miss my lord if I put my lord on the other side. Could be something like this. But if I force him to hit my lord... I mean, he probably kills it, but then I at least get my attacks before I die. At least he has to attack my lord, and to be fair, well, my lord ended up whiffing on the knights. I think my lord did 1 wound, needing 2s and 2s on the knights. And the way it had worked out, if I did 1 more wound, I would have had been steadfast. But, and maybe I had breath weapon on my lord, and I did it to kill the demis, and maybe I should have held it. Maybe I should have held it instead if I could countercharge. No, I need to kill the demis. It was just a weird situation here where maybe I could have did more with the positioning of my lord. Being only 1 wound left kind of sucked. Obviously, that's why you got to stop snipes and stop people from attacking you. But at the same point, with 1 wound left, if I can just swing on the dragon before I die, needing 3s and 4s, maybe I do 2 hits, and maybe I kill her, and maybe I put it down to like 2 wounds, and then when this unit dies, it just dies to another spell. I think putting this unit in was horrible. I think I could have blocked this. Um, at the very least, I don't know. It wouldn't be the scenario, but it kind of lost me this. I should have did something better. I also did something really bad in the Magic phase where I was here, and like the dragon was here, and I was like 18 away or something. It was like something like this, and I didn't like he stopped my first spell, my lash, which is fine. But I needed like the rerolls to wound on the demis. It was when the demis were fighting, and so I had the Glory of Gold, and it was 6-3, and I'm sitting there like, fuck, do I do a 3-dice spell, 3-dice spell, Breath, and Glory of Gold, or do I just try to bomb a Grave Calls on 4 dice at his dragon and say, all right, well I'm gonna try to bomb this. I need extra range, which I had. Do I bomb this extra range Grave Calls at your dragon and try to do a couple wounds to it? And now it's a threat. Now you're scared. But I ended up I just shouldn't have charged this fucking unit in. These 2 units should have never went. It should have just been my Lord on his own and maybe the Elder. But it worked out over here. I don't know. It was a weird Magic phase for me. I mean, there was a turn 2, like I had a 4-dice versus 4-dice Grave Calls on the dragon because he stopped. I had a good phase and I like slashed it and then I breath weaponed. He should have let the breath weapon go, I think. He ended up stopping it on the... I think it was 7... It was 9 to... It was 10 to 7. 3 dice. 9 to 7? It was 9 to 7. So it was 9 to 7. 3 dice Silver Lash on Dragon. Let it go. 6 to 7. 2 dice breath weapon. He stopped the breath weapon on 3 dice. But I would have, I don't know. I gave Joel credit and maybe a little bit of not credit, or like a little bit of riskiness is better to say it. Like he repeatedly like would go dice for me and say, fuck the breath weapon. You're going to, I would have 100% saved. I had a rerollable to wound Grave Calls, Strength 6 on his dragon on 4 dice. No MR. And he only kept 4 dice to stop it. That's ballsy because that's like 50-some% chance. And yeah, sure, I get it. 50%. But like the alternate was to save 7 dice and let the breath weapon go, which does like a wound or 2 to whatever I'm hitting it on. But I mean, he ended up stopping both. Sure, great. More power to him on that point. But Jesus, man, that's risky as fuck because the Grave Calls is like, it's like your dragon's dead if it goes off on average. Like it does 7 hits, 3.5 wounds, and then the rerolls is like 2 more, 3.5. Then it's not 100% dead. It does like 4 to 5, like 4.5 wounds on average. He had 1 on him. Like, and if you put 4 wounds on the dragon turn 2, if it has 1 wound left, it's in deep shit. It can't go anywhere. So that's kind of where I was like, oh, whoa, did not expect that. And maybe I should have just started with the Grave Calls and said, fuck it, Grave Calls, and just force him to try to roll all 7 at it, then I get the other 2 spells off. I don't know which is the better way to do it. Maybe with the riskiness that he plays with, I should do it that way because it gave me an opportunity to get both spells off or the Grave Calls. But damn, that was a big moment potentially in the Magic phase. But yeah, that was just some... I am not happy with how I did the middle stuff. I didn't like my redirect turn 1. It was dumb. Like the redirect I gave up a flare unit to get an 8 charge on the demis, which would have been great, but I think I could have made it shorter. Cause I should just gave him the overrun into my damn warriors. Like, who cares? I also stopped the wrong spell. I stopped +2 weapon skill and initiative instead of... No, he would have struck first, but he would have 1 less AP and 1 less to wound. Like, the strength is just so much better. Because I killed the other strength... Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like what I did. I wasn't a fan of how I did that turn. I did some good moves. I didn't do some good moves. I could have played it better. I think down here I should have thought more about, do I want to pin the BSB's unit and just say, okay, the mage is going to live, but, I have an elder here. I have the units threatening here. It can only go so far. Because this unit not getting into my center would have probably been a big deal. Obviously, I lost this unit, right? This unit, which is a lot of points, but I ended up trading and killing this and the dragon with magic. So, I mean, in the end, it was a trade of points, and maybe if I did the other way, I would have got a 19, but it would have felt safer, I guess. But anyway, I think my list, like I said, my magic is a lot better than... My magic is very strong versus him. It's just really good spells versus the dragon and the steam tank. Steam Tank's super annoying versus my army because it charging is so good, and having a 360 line of sight, some of my mobility is kind of off because, like, even when I put my Herald here, you know, I had to be wary of... He could have tried to roll a 12 at me. I think it was a 12 or 13 to get me, which isn't likely on 5d6, d3 to be fair. But it's like, then I can't, like, land behind him here and threaten things because of the Steam Tank always being there. But it's good versus all my units, right? If it charges, it does a bunch of impact hits, and then it potentially breaks me. But the fact that he had the dragon actually was interesting because my magic's very good versus the dragon and the steam tank. But the fact that he had both meant that I put all my magic into the dragon, obviously, but it means the steam tank never really took any wounds. Whereas if the dragon wasn't there, and if it was, say, something else that was maybe, I mean, it's 800 points, it could have been whatever, a knight commander and maybe another unit. I could have then focused on my magic on the steam tank, and this maybe wouldn't have been as much of a threat. So it's actually pretty interesting to have both together. And the dragon isn't even that expensive, to be fair. 800 points. It's 1,000 with your general, but you know, comes with a rune fang. I mean, he had wizard crown. He didn't have to take wizard crown as far as like he had enough magic without it. I think he could have taken. He probably should have took MR on the dragon. I don't think it's worth it to put it on the knight bus. I mean, 12 knights with a BSB that barely fights. It's not that susceptible to like who cares? Like your if they have alchemy, they're gonna go after your dragon, right? So put it on your dragon and make them go somewhere else with the other spells. Or maybe the thought process is if they have alchemy, they're gonna go on the steam tank if the dragon is MR. But I still think that's fair to do. Yeah, I would put MR probably on the dragon. That's it. 25 points less than 800 points dragon with a rune fang. It's pretty nice. I don't know if he has to be the general either. Maybe he doesn't have to be the general. I don't know enough about Empire. But anyway, on to round 2. Don't know who I'm playing yet, but there's a couple armies up there who would be interesting to play against, and we'll see what happens. Thanks for listening.